All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming to senior year prep with juniors today. And you guys know that we changed our meeting to Wednesdays at 1:30. So we'll make sure that we post this video for you if you missed the session. So today you get two wonderful presentations today. You're going to get a presentation about interviewing skills, how to ace the interview, right? And we also will be having a presentation from Fashion Institute in Design and Merchandising. I'm sure I said that incorrectly, and she's gonna say
No.
it. I said that right?
Yeah, Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising.
Okay, well, do I get a sticker for that?
Yes, you do.
Or a sandwich, maybe? Or sandwich, right? So we have Miss Gina, who is here. She's been to our school before to visit. I think maybe, was it the art classes or the business math classes?
Both.
Oh, art and business math.
Yeah.
Classes. So we love when she comes here. So she is going to take it from here and teach you guys how to ace these college and job interviews. So Miss Gina, the floor is yours.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Miss Nicole, for that lovely introduction. Hi, everybody. My name is Gina Borghese, and I am a college rep with FITM. FITM is a 4-year private accredited college offering specialized associate's and bachelor's degrees, as well as an MBA. Our flagship campus in downtown Los Angeles prepares our students for careers in fashion, interior design, visual and digital arts, as well as the entertainment industry. All those different sectors that I just mentioned fall under the umbrella of the fashion industry and contribute to the global economy, with California being the 5th largest economy. So I'm going to start by showing you a video about FITM, so you'll get a feel for what the campus looks like, what the students look like, and then we'll get into our featured presentation.
FITM to me means creative opportunity and success.
Like, I can look at a brand or a company, I can decipher their advertisements. That's a gift that FITM gave to me. I use a design ethos for products, for people, to everyday life. It's like, okay, I'm a fashion designer, I'm a designer of life.
FITM gives us the tools to step into the industry and be well-rounded, and we have that passion, but now we have all the tools to take it to the next level. I love how unique I feel, but also in a community and how we can come together and create.
I've made lifelong friends here.
Definitely feel a sense of community and love here and acceptance.
Now that I'm here, I feel like I belong here.
It's just really inspiring and very unique. I don't really feel like there's another place like it.
Okay, great. So that's a little bit about FITM. Hopefully at the end of the presentation, I will have time if you have any questions. I did put a link in the chat. If you're interested in learning more about the school, if you would like to get on our email list and learn about some upcoming events we have, feel free to put your information in that and submit the link. But I've been invited to speak with you today about how to ace the interview. So we're going to talk about the importance of body language during interviews and how to talk confidently about yourself. We're going to address appropriate interview attire, and then I'm going to share some of the most commonly asked questions with you during an interview, and at the end I'm going to give you some suggestions for good interview questions that you could pose to your interviewer. But I'm going to start by saying to you that the most commonly asked question during an interview is not a question at all, but rather a statement. And that statement is, so tell me about yourself. And I know that I always hate when they ask me this, or statement or question, because it's kind of like, well, where exactly do you want me to start? Should I talk about when I left the hospital with my mom and dad? Do you want me to pick up what I've done since college? So we're going to look at a somewhat funny video about how to respond to that statement in an interview. But by the end of this presentation, you will begin to have an outline of how you would personally respond to this statement during the course of an interview. So let's watch this movie clip from the movie You, Me, and Dupree. And while you're watching it, I'd like you to put your human resources hat on. And I'd like you to think about whether or not you would hire Dupree to work at your company.
So why don't you describe yourself, Mr. Dupree?
I'm a people person, very personable. I absolutely insist on enjoying life. Not so task-oriented. Not a workhorse. If you're looking for a Clydesdale, I'm probably not your man. Like, I don't live to work. It's more the other way around. I work to live. Incidentally, what's your policy on Columbus Day?
We work.
Really? The guy discovered the new world. Afraid to even ask about Victory over Japan Day. Hey, we tried, right?
Thanks a lot.
My resume.
Okay, guys, so feel free to turn on your mics. What are your thoughts? Are we hiring Dupree to work at our company?
No,
How come?
it was a bad interview.
It was a bad interview. And what about it did you think was bad?
I don't know. It was maybe the way he talked.
Maybe the way he talked, okay. I found that he was really negative. He talked a lot about what it is that he wouldn't do rather than what he would do. Did anybody else notice anything about that interview clip?
He didn't give specific information.
He didn't give specific information, right? I also thought it was interesting. He didn't even get the job yet, and he wanted to know what days he had off, right? How about the way he was dressed? Anybody have any thoughts on the way he's dressed?
I mean, it's okay. I think he's wearing sneakers though.
He is wearing sneakers. Good catch. Right. So what you wear to a job interview is as important as the words that you speak. Does anybody have any idea how long it takes for a prospective employer to form an opinion about you? So you walk in the room, you don't even utter a word, and they're starting to formulate an opinion. How long do you think it takes?
A couple of seconds.
A couple seconds, that's right. It takes 3 to 5 seconds. And I always say we never have a second opportunity to make a good first impression. So there's so many variables that in our lives that we can't control, but how we present ourselves to the world is something that we can. So we're going to start with the gentleman. If you see the outfit on the far left, he has a dark button-down shirt on with some khakis. This might be appropriate for an after-school job at maybe a Target or at a restaurant. The outfit to the far right, he has that white button-down shirt on again and some khakis. This time he's paired it with a blazer. That might be appropriate for an internship, although I would suggest that he add a tie here as well. Now the look in the middle is full on professional. We see that he has a dark suit on. Our research tells us that men are perceived to be more knowledgeable, more professional, more educated when they wear a dark suit rather than a light suit. So if you have a dark suit, you might want to wear that to a job interview. We see that he has a white, crisp, clean button-down shirt on. He has a tie. Ties for guys are like jewelry is for girls. It's your opportunity to introduce a little bit of your personality, but you don't want to go overboard. I, like you, am here in Pennsylvania, and this is a pretty traditional part of the country. We have a lot of conservative industries like the pharmaceutical industry, the legal industry, the medical field. So you want to make sure that you're dressed the way an employee of that company would dress. One last word of advice, you want to make sure that your shoes are polished. It's really a minimal investment as far as time and money go, but it's really a detail that does not go unnoticed by a potential employer. For the ladies, we have a little bit more flexibility. So you can see on the far left, that outfit might be appropriate if she was interviewing for a job in an office after school, a short sleeve blouse with a pencil skirt and some wedges. The next look, she's wearing a blazer and a skirt. They don't match, but they do complement one another. That might be appropriate if she was interviewing for a job in the creative field. Now, the next two looks are full-on professional. In the third look, we see that she's got a dark suit on with a white button-down blouse. Now, they're showing it here with red pumps. I personally would not wear red pumps to a job interview, but that's how it's being shown here. And then the last look is the professional take on the little black dress. She's paired it with a button-down blouse, and she's introducing a little bit of her personality through her choice of colorful accessories. Ladies, we always want to make sure for a job interview that our necklines are not too low and our hemlines are not too high. Okay, great. So you left the house, you feel good about the way you're dressed, and now you go into the job interview. You could be talking about all of your accomplishments and how well suited you are for the position, and your body language could be completely negating the words that are coming out of your mouth. So you want to make sure that you're making good eye contact, that you have good posture, confident movements and gestures, and you have a pleasant facial expression. This is typically the part in this presentation where I talk about the handshake. We're not shaking hands now, but hopefully we will return to that soon. And you just want to make sure that you have a firm handshake, not what's known as the limp or the dead fish, where somebody just kind of places their hand in yours. You also don't want to give them such a firm grasp that you make their knees buckle, but just a really good handshake that's accompanied with some good eye contact. Okay, so we're going to put our human resources hats on again, and this time we're going to meet Steph Saunders, and we're going to meet two versions of Steph. And as you're watching the video, I would like you to think about which version you would hire to work at your company.
My name is Steph Saunders. I'm a junior communications major at URI. I'm very interested in getting experience in marketing, and I play soccer. So I'm good with people on a team. My name is Steph Saunders. I'm a junior communications major with a minor in business administration. I've been on the dean's list every semester for the past 3 years, and I've been very involved on campus. I'm a part of the student senate, and I'm also a member of the women's soccer team. This last semester, I was able to gain real valuable work experience by interning in the alumni relations group, where I was able to work on event planning and different marketing tasks. I really feel like my internship, coupled with my experience on the soccer team, would make me a real valuable asset to your team.
Okay, guys, so which Steph Saunders are we hiring to work at our company?
The second one.
How come?
It's the more appropriate one.
It's the more appropriate one. And what made you think that? Is this Johnny talking?
Yes.
Johnny, what made you think that the second one was more appropriate?
I liked the body posture.
Right? We can see that she's leaning forward in the second one. She's more engaged in the conversation. What else did you notice, Johnny?
The attire.
Her attire, right? More professional and it's more business oriented than the first one. Anybody notice anything else? We don't want Johnny to have to carry this whole show.
She knew what she was going to say.
Oh,
She wasn't hesitating as much as the first time.
Right. That's such a good catch. You know, sometimes when we're not prepared for what we want to speak or we don't feel particularly confident, we use a lot of fillers like, so if I was nervous, say, and I was, speaking quickly, I might say, so like yesterday I went to like Norristown High School and, I met like this great group of students and I presented to them. But if you slow down your pace and you have organized thoughts and you think about what you're going to say, you're able to leave out and not utilize those fillers. Because unfortunately, whether it's accurate or not, they really do make us seem less intelligent when we do use them. So that was a great catch. Thank you for that. Anything else? Did anybody else pick up anything? Okay. Well, the first thing I caught was that she was chewing gum, right? So you want to make sure that you're not chewing gum when you go into a job interview. But like a lot of what you've already said, how she was dressed far more professionally in the second example, how she was far more engaged. How about the quality of her answers? We talked about those fillers and how she was kind of like, yeah, like whatever, I'm Steph Saunders in the first one. She didn't really seem to be motivated to be there. So employers have an expectation about what your answers and responses to their questions will sound like, and they expect your answers to be concise and specific. So this student was asked, what's your greatest attribute? And he said, I'm a team player. Now, is that concise? Very much so. But is it specific? Not really, because the next question might be, well, how are you a team player? Do you play on the team at school? Are you a member of a team in your part-time job? Exactly how? But take a look at this example. This student says, I play volleyball for my school's JV team, and I'm a staff writer for the school newspaper. These experiences taught me how to work well with people to achieve a common goal. I also learned that I really enjoy being part of a team. Now, is that concise? Very much so. Is it specific? Yes. Now, how do you think she knew exactly what to say in response to the employer's questions? Well, she probably did her research. And we live in a great era of time in that I can't imagine any company to which you would apply that does not have some sort of online presence. And they have the expectation that you're doing a little bit of research before you actually get in there for the job interview. So for our purposes today, we are working with the Starbucks company. And Starbucks is hiring a barista. And I'm going to read this job post to you. And then I would like you to think about what qualities are important to Starbucks just by reading their job post. So Starbucks prides itself on prompt service and quality beverages and products. It's your job as a barista to ensure that you uphold these values. Baristas must create a friendly, upbeat, and clean environment for all customers. The job and all that it demands must be learned, understood, and followed by the barista. As an active member of the Starbucks team, baristas are responsible for following store protocol and contributing to the profitability goals. Now, if you were looking at that, does anything jump out to anyone? What qualities are important to Starbucks?
Being friendly.
Being friendly, right? Nobody wants anyone miserable serving them their morning cup of joe, right? So you need to be friendly and upbeat. Anybody else? Well, being a team member, a good team member, I've never walked into a Starbucks and seen just one person behind the counter. So they need to know that you get along well with others and that you can be a part of a team to work towards a common goal and contributing to the profitability. No company is in business to lose money, so they want to make sure that you're aware of that. Now, FITM looked at that job posting and they were able to come up with all these different qualities and abilities that are important to Starbucks and their baristas. And as I read these out loud, I'd like you to jot down 3 qualities that you think best describe yourself. And what you're doing is you're beginning to formulate your tell me about yourself response. So the qualities and abilities that FITM discerned are important to Starbucks include someone who's accurate and thorough, someone who's honest and takes pride in their work, someone who has a good attitude, is outgoing, sales-oriented, punctual, and fast. Someone who values cleanliness, a quick learner who follows instructions well, someone who is customer service oriented, a team player who takes direction, someone with a good company attitude, who's positive and dependable. Now, would anyone like to share the 3 qualities that they jotted down that best describes themselves? Okay, well, we can look at this example. So the example here is this student chose accurate, thorough, and pride in work. And then the next portion of this example is that I would ask you to write 2 or 3 statements that you feel support the qualities that you chose. So here we see that this student chose accurate, thorough, and pride in work. And her supporting statements are, I am the editor of my school newspaper, which requires thoroughly reading each article and checking for mistakes. I have also written many of these articles and pride myself in turning in accurate work. Now, typically when there's a little bit longer time, I would give you a few moments and help you to flesh this out. But in the interest of time today, I'm going to move forward to the next section. But I would really encourage you to work on this on your own time because, you know, oftentimes people say how nervous they are when they go for job interviews. But I have personally found that the more prepared I am, the less nervous I am. So I would encourage you to work on this because I'm going to tell you in all honesty from my personal experience, 90 to 95% of your job interviews will start out with the tell me about yourself statement. And if you have that all fleshed out, you'll be prepared. All right, so what are some other questions that an employer might ask you? Well, why do you want this job is a common question. And you don't want to say things like, because I need the money, it's close to my house, or my personal favorite, my parents told me to get a job. They are called WIFM. So that is a WIFM mentality. And at FITM, we suggest that you have more of a WIFT mentality. What's in it for them? Rather than a WIFM, which is what's in it for me, you're going to say, what's in it for them? Why should they hire you? What makes you stand out from the competition? So take a look at this response. This student said, she was applying for a job at American Eagle, and when they said to her, why do you want this job? She said, well, I really appreciate the detail in the clothing, the exclusiveness and the name brand quality of your line. With your impeccable reputation and my fashion retail experience, I know that I will exceed sales goals and enjoy a successful career here. Another commonly asked question is, do you have experience in this line of work? Now, maybe this is your first job. Maybe you don't have experience. So we encourage you to think of other things that you've done that might contribute to the experience for that position. So in this response, the student says, well, I've never been a cashier. I organized a fundraiser at my school, which called for me to generate sales, handle money, and provide quality customer service. I mean, I would make the argument that that's exactly what a cashier does. So they do, in fact, have experience. What is your greatest strength is another commonly asked question. So if we go back to that American Eagle response, we can see I excel at retail sales. I've exceeded my sales goals every quarter, and I've earned a bonus each year since I started with my current employee. Now, what is your greatest weakness is a little bit trickier, because the whole thing about a job interview is you are presenting the best version of yourself. So maybe you talk about a negative quality that you had, but that you realize and you know what you need to do to overcome it. Or maybe you talk about a negative quality that you had, but you did put some measures in place, and now it doesn't challenge you quite as much anymore. Now, towards the end of the interviewer may turn to you and say, what questions do you have for me? We encourage you to keep that whiffed mentality. You don't want to be like Dupree and ask how much vacation time you get, or what are your benefits, or how long your break and your lunch hour are. But instead, you want to ask some thoughtful questions like, how would you describe the ideal candidate? What do you consider the most important aspect of this job? How would you describe your company's culture? And then the last question that I always ask is, what are the next steps in the interview process? And that lets the employer know that you're interested in moving forward with the job, but it also gives you an idea as to what their time frame is. So in closing the interview, you're going to ask for the job, you're going to summarize your strengths, you're going to ask when a decision will be made, and you're going to thank them for their time. And at this point in time, I always ask them for a business card. And the reason I ask them for their business card is because their business card will have their email address on it. And as soon as I get home, I'm sending them a thank you note. So what did we learn today? Well, we learned about the most commonly asked questions during an interview. We talked about how the most commonly asked question isn't a question at all, but rather a statement. So tell me about yourself. And so that you feel less nervous the next time you interview. We also talked about other questions. Why do you want this job? What are your strengths and weaknesses? Do you have any previous experience in this line of work? And then, do you have any questions for me? And I gave you some suggestions for those questions. The key to a good job interview is preparation and practice. So I thank you all for your attention today. I wish you the best in your future endeavors. And if you have any questions for me, either regarding the job interviewing process or about FITM, feel free to ask me them.
All right, guys. So that was some amazing information. I learned a couple of things, not that I'm looking for a job or anything, but you know, if somebody asks me for some advice, I have some more things to add to my list of things that I give out. So do you guys have any other things to add? You can either unmute yourself or put something in the chat. Okay, so somebody has something in the chat now.
What are the questions we should ask them? So that's a great question, Johnny. And as I said, some of the questions like, what's your company culture? I like to ask them, what does a typical day look like? I also like to ask them what the training program is, right? You want to make sure that you get adequate training. I always felt like when I went on a job interview, I was interviewing them as much as they were interviewing me. So you want to make sure that you determine that this is going to be a really good fit for you too, because you don't want to go through this entire interview process. You might have to do some background checks or drug testing. You might have to go to a different city to train, and then you actually get into the job and you realize it's not really something that you're interested in, which is the worst feeling in the world. So try to think of as many questions as you can. With that being said, you could search online, and there are numerous sites where you can find questions that you can ask. What their favorite part of their job is. That's a great suggestion, right? So Maggie says sometimes she asks people she's interviewing with what their favorite part of their job is. And that kind of gives you an insight both into the job as well as the person that you're meeting with. You get to know their personality a little bit. So that's a great suggestion. Thank you, Maggie. Okay, does anybody else have any other questions?
All right, guys, ask these questions while we have the expert in the room.
I just want to tell everybody too, if you're looking for part-time jobs or summer jobs, Craigslist is a great place to find jobs. In the Craigslist, there's actually a job section, and it's divided into different areas: retail, administrative office, sales. So if there's a particular area that you might be interested in, you could kind of just put your term in the search bar, and it would bring up jobs that the area is offering, the Philadelphia area. So if you're looking for something for the summer, that could be a good resource for you.
And guys, I just put a link in the chat, because some of you may know, but there's also another interview skills workshop this weekend. I didn't want to talk about it much because I didn't want people to have to pick and choose between the two. But there's going to be one this coming Saturday from 9 to 11 o'clock. Bethlehem Baptist Church is an organization that has a lot of different programming, college and career programming, interview skills, et cetera, et cetera. And so they have an expert that's going to come in and take the information that Ms. Gina gave you and do it further. They're going to be doing some role plays because they have more time. So definitely, if you click on that link, you can go ahead and register. So if you are interested, please go ahead and register today so that I can get them your information. So again, it's from 9 to 11 this coming Saturday. I know it's early, but it's going to be a great workshop.
That's great. And I just put my link back into the chat as well. If you're interested in connecting with FITM, we have a lot of great online events right now. There's one coming up with the costume designer as well as the set decorator from the movie Mank. We have something coming up about textile design, sustainability in the creative industry. So if you are interested in anything in the creative field, or if you would just like to see what a college level lecture looks and sounds like, I encourage you to fill out that link and get connected with FITM.
All right, last questions. Going once, going twice, going 3 times. Oh, always the buzzer beater. What happens if you don't get the job?
Well, you just keep persevering. I believe that everything happens for a reason. And if nothing else, you got some more experience interviewing. So that's always a good thing. And then when you're meant to find the job that's right for you, it will happen.
All right, going once, going twice, going 3 times. All right, guys. Well, if you can unmute yourselves or drop in the chat and give a big thank you to Miss Gina from FITM for coming in and giving us this wonderful presentation on interview skills. And I hope you guys learned some great skills to get you that job or get you that college interview.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you.